Hello, everybody. So, my name is Robert Ruggieri, and I live in Connellsville, Pennsylvania. And I've been wanting to do this. I've been wanting to do this for a while. So, forgive me for this being my first YouTube video ever. Um, it's going to be raw and unedited, and the gist of everything that I want to talk about is all about peace and love and understanding and compassion and being human beings. Um, Not really each episode. I think if I make it past the first one, uh, is going to get into more detail about various topics. This is going to be like a no holds barred kind of thing, but very respectful. Um, I'm not promoting any hate in this YouTube video and will not promote any hate in any of my YouTube videos. So, I kind of just want to start in general about talking about the human race as a whole. Um, I don't know. I don't know what has happened to us as people since the beginning of time. We have seemed to have this problem where life isn't about life. It's about what I can get and how I can get it. And it doesn't matter the people that we hurt along the way. It doesn't matter the people that we hate. Somehow or another, we as a human species have been killing each other over race, over culture, over property, over money, over religion, over just everything that makes us human beings, okay? And for the life of me, I cannot figure out why we can't seem to understand that we are all human beings and we all share this earth and we all share this air and we share this life and we spend it fighting with each other. For the life of me, I cannot figure out the purpose, especially over things so minute, okay? And I'm not saying that people's heritage and culture and sexual identity and skin color and where you're from, all that stuff. I'm not saying that any of that is not important, but I assure you of one simple fact of life is that we will all die, okay? And it's not going to matter if you're rich or poor. It's not going to matter if you're black or white. It's not going to matter if you're Portuguese or Hispanic. It's not going to matter if you're a Democrat or Republican. It's not going to matter if you're a Catholic or a Muslim. Death is going to come to all of us, and we spend the majority of our lives fighting with each other over these things. Okay, and I'm not saying that there are not things that have happened in the world that have caused this issue. Uh, that is a topic that I will get into in another video. I kind of just want to give a general what this YouTube channel is going to be about. Um, we are human. We are human, and we are all connected. Doesn't matter where you're from. Doesn't matter whether you're male or female. Somehow or another, since the dawn of time, we have been given these labels, and we have dealt with these labels in many different ways. You know, it all starts with male female. Okay, so since the beginning, there's a division, even though we're human beings. Okay, I believe that we are all connected. I believe that in the heart of all of us want something good for humanity, not just ourselves, but our humanity. All right. And when you think about that simple concept, we have the same mission. We just go have a different way of going about it. And unfortunately, if all you have to do is watch the news on a daily basis and you see nothing but hate and violence and killing and death for no purpose. What does it solve? What does it solve? Because I assure you that we might have our differences of opinion, but is it really a reason to kill each other? Think about that. Anything can happen to you at any time. Look at the events of the last month. Okay? Do you think that Kobe Bryant got on a helicopter thinking, I'm going to die today? No, I don't think he did. I just watched the news yesterday here in Pittsburgh, and a 42-year-old man doing his job, repossessing a vehicle, tried to do his job and accidentally got run over by his own job, the vehicle that he was working on at 42 years old. Snap of a finger, death. Boom, it's over. And we spend it fighting. We're taught. I don't understand why, because I remember as a child, and maybe some of you will get this, and maybe some of you won't, and it's okay. I'm not going to impose any of my values on anybody. You have the right to watch this video. You have the right to not watch it. You have the right to disagree. You have the right to agree. It's fine. It's your prerogative. It's your life. But, when you start thinking about how quick things can happen in this life, you could literally go to bed and not wake up tomorrow. Life is shorter for some than others. And we've all learned since we were a little kid, that, there's things that you can't talk about with each other. And what are they? They're religion and politics. These are like the two forbidden topics. But that's expanded because now we can't talk about racism. Now we can't talk about sexual identity. Now we can't talk about male and female controversy. Now we can't talk about politics at all without it turning into a fight. And I get that there's emotion. There's emotion attached to everything. And there's always going to be emotion attached to everything. But life is so short. And we fight over these things that keep us divided and keep us looking at each other as almost like enemies. When what I have learned in my life is that these things that we are told not to talk about, these things that we see on television that tell us, oh, no, you can't do this. You can't nobody can talk about these things because it just turns into violence, and it turns into hate, and it turns into fighting. And I'm going to tell you, it's a bunch of bullshit. It is. I'm sorry, because I just went on a 6-week excursion across the country. I've never really left my tiny little town of Connellsville. All right? And I drove to California, and I drove back. And each town that I stopped in, I was able to have conversations with people of different cultures, of different races, of different sexual identities, of different genders, of you name it. And guess what? We could sit together and have a difference of opinion, but have a conversation. And at the end of which, we laugh and we agree that the biggest problem with the world is that we don't talk about it. We don't talk about it. And it sucks, because it's like we're kept in this little bubble that says this is how it is. And I'm not completely knocking the news media, because they got a job to do. But I am going to tell you that what you see on that television and what you see out in the real world is not entirely the same. You see some bad shit on TV, okay? So let's think, okay, so let's just say you get an hour news segment, all right? Of that hour news segment, you probably get less than 5 minutes of good things that happen in this world. And there are good people in this world. There are good people that have good hearts, that go out every day and do their best to help a total stranger, to be there to support somebody they've never met before in their life, that take care of somebody they've never met before. It happens every day. And I know that it doesn't just happen to me. There have to be many of you who are or may not watch this video. There have got to be more people in this world that love more than they hate. And the problem, my opinion, which again, you're going to hear me say a lot, disagree with it, agree with it, leave me a comment. If you're nasty, I'm not going to respond to it. You want to have a discussion? I will have a discussion. I'll have a discussion with you about any topic, okay? I'm never going to tell you that I am the smartest person on the planet, because I'm not. I have fucked more things up in my life than whatever, but I've learned from all of them. All right? And when I talk to somebody that I don't understand, example, for the first time in my life, I had a conversation with a transgender female. And I said to her, I'm going to ask you an ignorant question, but not in the modern way that we consider ignorant. I'm going to ask you in the true meaning of the word ignorant, which means that I don't know. So in order for me to know, I have to ask. And if you're not willing to talk about it, how are people supposed to understand? I'm all about, I don't care what you're into. I don't care what you like to do. I don't care who you want to be with. A relationship's a relationship. Like, you tell me that a gay relationship and a straight relationship are different. I don't see them different because guess what? No matter what kind of relationship you're in, there's going to be fighting, there's going to be arguing, there's going to be disagreements, there's going to be happy times, there's going to be sad times. Do what you got to do. Do it to your heart's content. If it makes you happy, be happy. Life is too fucking short to be miserable. And it's too short for us to constantly be fighting with each other over things that we can't control, okay? Like, you're going to believe what you want to believe. I'm going to believe what I want to believe. But that doesn't mean we can't have a conversation, okay? I swear to you that does not mean that we cannot have a conversation. There should be an understanding. Hey, let's just go into politics for a minute. I'm probably going to do a whole video on politics, which should be pretty interesting. But, so let's look at this. If you remember what I was talking about earlier, our entire lives are full of divisions, okay? And I almost think sometimes that it's set up that way because as long as we are divided, everybody knows that there's going to be shit that people can get away with. Because the people, I know it used to be 350 million. It probably is like closer to 400 million people now that live in the United States. So we won't even go into the whole world yet. But just in the United States, there are so many divisions that keep us separated that all this shit is continuing to happen, and everybody knows that it can happen because we're not going to come together because we have too many divisions. All right? And I'll repeat it just to make sure that we're on the same page. Divisions start male-female division, black-white division, gay-straight division. You got religious differences, which then split into multiple. You got Democrats, Republicans. There's always a division that keeps us separated. But when you go out and you talk to people and you have conversations with a Republican and a Democrat who are not in the political spectrum, you can sit and have a conversation. It's an amazing thing, conversation. Somehow or another, we've lost this concept of conversation. Conversation doesn't mean that you're fighting. Discussions don't mean that you're fighting. Disagreements don't mean that you have to fight. So here we've got this Democrat-Republican huge ass split in the United States of America right now. All right? Bigger than it's ever been. All right? Because of, let's just be honest. You got half the country hates Donald Trump. And you got half the country, I don't even want to say half the country, a lot of the country half the country voted for Donald Trump, but I can tell you that not all those people that voted for Donald Trump love Donald Trump, okay? You know, our government system put us, the people, in a position that two people who ran in the 2016 election were disliked by more than 50% of the country, and they were both still given the nomination. And we, the people, this is what we had to choose from. Okay? To me, I think that was wrong. I think our system of government is very flawed, extremely flawed, and I think our system of government let us down. My opinion. But division. Family members don't talk to each other over Democrat, Republican. When you die, you're not going to be a Democrat or a Republican. Sorry to break that to you. In the end, the people, the majority of the people, none of it matters to us because they don't care about us. That's my opinion. They don't care about us. We have to care about us. And as long as we stay divided, and as long as we can't have conversations with each other over these things that we should be able to conversate about, we're going to continue to get divided. It's going to continue to get worse. I was in Memphis, Tennessee, and I had the opportunity to go to the Lorraine Motel where Martin Luther King was assassinated. All right? I love Martin Luther King. I think that what he stood for and what he tried to do, epic. And that's the 60s. I could be wrong, and if I am, I apologize. I think that he was assassinated in 1968, and over race. And here we are in 2020, and we've got the same fucking problem. It's probably just as bad today as it was in the 60s. What have we learned? We haven't learned anything because we see with our eyes all the time. And that's all we see is size, shape, and color. That's like how we live our life. We don't want to talk to fat people. Because the skinny people think the fat people, no. And the people who are heavy set, I'm not a little guy. Like, you look at a tiny little girl and you're just like, man, I'm never gonna have a girlfriend like that because she ain't ever gonna look at somebody like me. And I'm not saying that this is how it is for everyone. But there are a lot of people who see these divisions and they know these divisions are there. And I feel so confident that there are more people than just me who see these divisions and wonder why we have to have them and wonder why we can't just have conversations. Hence, me trying to do this YouTube video because I want to bring us together. It's time for a revolution, and it's time for a real revolution. It's time to stop the bullshit. It's time to stop the pettiness. It's time to stop hating each other. It's time to stop. It's time to stop. People are dying, and they've been dying for no reason. When the sheer fact that you could leave your house right now to go to Walmart and get in a car accident at a red light and die, regardless of your age, these things we have to be able to talk about. And we have to stop the fighting. And we have to stop hating each other. Nothing on this earth do we get to take with us when we die. Nothing. Nothing but what's in our minds. Okay? And what you get to do is you experience life. And you get to make memories. And I don't know what happens when we die. I don't know anybody who knows 100% what happens when we die. But I don't believe that it's over. I believe that this life is about experiences. It's about making memories. It's about having good things. Because in the end, the laughter, the good times, those are supposed to be the things that matter the most. Not the tears, not the hatred, not the violence. And I know that violence has been going on since the beginning of time, which, depending on what your belief system is, and we'll have an episode on belief systems, but depending on what your belief system is, religious, spiritual, whatever, if you love science, if you don't like science, science has estimated that human beings have been on this planet for roughly 300,000 years. Now, obviously, there's been some evolution, but we've gotten ourselves to this point, and you've got 300,000 years of evolution. And my question is, what have we learned? I don't understand what we've learned. When we look at each other and judge each other and hate each other over the color of a skin, why? Probably the most controversial statement that I could possibly make is that, for the most part, regardless of what religious belief you have, there is a singularity that we came from two people. And so if we came from two people, I got news for you, then we are all interracial. We are all cultures. We are everything, because if we came from a singularity, that should tell you without a doubt that we are connected. We are human. We're not robots. We're not mindless. We have moments where our emotions and different things just affect us, and we may have emotional reactions. And I'm not telling you that it's not okay to be angry, because your emotions, your feelings, these are things that you own them, and you have the right to feel the way you feel. Where we always get into trouble is how we express those emotions. I mean, think about it. You could be having the time of your life, laughing your ass off, having the greatest time ever, and still get in trouble. So, just because you're happy doesn't mean that, like, you can run naked down the street with your can of beer and not get arrested. All right? On the other hand, you could be as angry as you want to, but you go outside and you beat somebody up or you murder them, like, you're going to get in trouble. Like, and that's just giving you the two extremes. Like, I'm not even talking about all the array of emotions that everybody experiences on a daily basis. But one of the biggest things that I feel like we miss out on is the understanding of the word perception. Okay? Perception makes all the difference. All right? Prime example, and I will do one on perception, but a prime example of perception. Take 9/11. All right? 9/11, worst tragedy of my lifetime. I was born in 1982. So even though I remember the Persian Gulf War and all that, nothing had really ever happened here. I mean, I know we had the Oklahoma City bombing, but of the magnitude of 9/11. Everybody was affected by 9/11, okay? But here's where perception comes in. The perception of the people watching television was different than the perception of the people standing in New York City. Okay? The perception of the people standing in New York City was different than the perception of the people in the Twin Towers. The perception of the firefighters going into the building was different than the perception of the people in the building. Do you get where I'm going with that? Because it's not the same. We can all experience the exact same event at the exact same time, but have a different perception. And where I believe the struggle then comes in is that, again, we don't communicate. We don't talk. We just assume. We just assume things. Well, you don't know what it's like to be me. Okay. I guess that's the end of the conversation. Instead of, you don't know what it's like to be me. No, I don't know what it's like to be you. And I will never know what it's like to be you. But this is what I went through. Oh, wow. It's similar. How about that? We have something in common, but we won't ever know it because we don't talk about it. I have had conversations with African Americans about racism in this country. And guess what? We sat and we drank beers and we discussed, we cheered, like, tipped glasses. You know what I mean? And we were cool. Like, I've talked with Mexican Americans about the wall and about immigration. And guess what? There's a lot of Mexican Americans that don't like illegal immigration. But guess what? The majority of people, they don't know that because they just see Mexican. So it's almost like, you just assume every Mexican, they must all be illegal. And that's not true. One truth, other than the one truth about life, other than death, is that there are assholes in every race, every culture, every gender, every religion, everything. But does that make them all assholes? No. I laugh when I look at the TV because I see this just hatred towards people who voted for Donald Trump. I read it on Facebook every single day. So we have taken another step into politics where if one person's an asshole that voted for Donald Trump, then they have to all be assholes. And I know that it's not. I know that it's not the same, and I don't have a word for it. And I feel like there should be a word for it. But when you take a group of people and you associate them with negativity just because of their political status, how is that different from us saying that all white people are assholes and racists? or all black people shouldn't be here. How is it different? I keep thinking in my head, like, what kind of word could we come up with that? Is it like politicalism instead of racism? Because you can't call it racism. Like, I don't understand what we're doing as a human race. We're fucking this up. And I'm sorry for swearing, but that's just me because it's so frustrating. Because we're fucking this up for what? We're hating each other for what? We're losing time. And we're not making positive memories. We're not making this positive life by hating each other. And we have to stop. Please stop. We have to find a way to come together. So I beg you, if you belong to a group that is all about peace and love and is trying to do the right thing and bring people together in this country, in this state, whatever, contact me. Because I want in. Because I'm trying. And I've been trying. And I got myself to the point where maybe this is the only way that I can do it. Because I try to post positive things on Facebook. And I try to combat every negative thing that I see on Facebook. I try to use, I call it the Twitter, sorry. I even call it the Facebook. Sometimes I call it the Snapchat. I need your help. The human race needs your help. I don't want to die miserable. And I don't want to die with hatred in my heart. I don't want to die with hatred in my soul. And I don't want any of you to die with hatred in your soul. And I know that there are several people who are going to watch this video and think, well, I don't hate anybody. But then when you go down the street and you see somebody that is poor, oh, they must have deserved that. Hate comes in many different forms. And I know that hate is a strong word. It's probably one of the worst words. And I understand that we'll never know love without hate. I get that. Just like you can't have creation without destruction. I get that. I get it. But we need more love. We need more love. Even Dr. Martin Luther King said that you can't fight violence and hate with violence and hate. We have to stop. Our mental states. Depression is at an all-time high. There are children killing themselves over bullying and hate because they're gay or because they identify, they were assigned, I want to say this right because I don't want to say it wrong. If I do say it wrong, I apologize. I'm ignorant to it and I'm still learning it, okay? People get hated on because they were assigned a gender at birth, feel and want to be another gender, and then people hate them for it. You don't know what's going on in the next person's mind. You don't know how they feel. Who are you to judge them? You know, like, who are we to judge each other? It's not our job to judge each other, man. It's not. Like, whether you believe in a higher power or you believe in God or you believe in whatever, unless you believe in absolutely nothing, we as human beings are not here to judge each other. But guess what? We seem to do it all the fucking time. And it's unnecessary. And it's uncalled for. And it's bullshit. Because we've all been down before. We've all had hard times in our life. All of us. And I challenge one person to tell me that they've never had a bad day. That shit just hasn't gotten to them and they've been down. And it sucks. Because you feel like you're stuck and you're trapped and you can't get up. And that's where human decency and the human spirit come into play. Because this lifetime of living this quid pro quo shit that, oh, I'll do this for you if you do this for me, is bullshit. Reach down and try to help somebody. Just because somebody's a stranger doesn't make them not human. It's okay to ask somebody if they're okay. You might change their whole fucking day just by being a decent human being. It doesn't cost a dime to be a decent human being. And one decency of being a human being is understanding that we are all human beings. I wish that I could tell you for certain that there were non-human beings here. And I know that there's going to be a couple smart asses that are going to say, oh, well, there's animals and there's plants and yada yada. And okay, cool. But guess what? As human beings living on this earth, we are also animals. And we have organisms in our bodies. And when we die and our bodies go into the ground, not to be like overly Lion King here, but our bodies then become the grass. And organisms are going to eat the stuff that's our skin and our body. And you know what I mean? It truly is a circle of life. But the point is, we need to be good to each other. We need to stop. We need to support each other. We need to help each other through tough times. Because guess what? The systems fail us all the time. We look to the systems because we think the systems are going to save us. Oh man, the welfare system's going to save me. I'm going to be okay. The mental health system's going to save me. Everything's going to be okay. The physical health system's going to save me. Everything's going to be okay. How many of you have truly experienced all of those things working all the time? That you've been able to fully get yourself back together just by having those simple things. Because I know that a lot of mental health systems get cut. Physical health, insurance costs go crazy. People can't afford to go to the doctor. And I don't know, I see on the news all the time that there's issues with the welfare system. Changes happening to it all the time. People can't survive on that. And we just walk past each other. A simple hi. How are you today? And actually meaning it goes a long way. doing something nice for somebody for no reason other than being a good person. That's the name of the game, man. Hating each other. This isn't human. And we have this tendency to not learn from history, which boggles my mind because the purpose of history is to help us not repeat it. But we just keep repeating it over and over and over and over. And sometimes things start to get a little bit better. And then, boom. Almost back to where we began, but even further back. And I'm calling on you as human beings. Please, we gotta stop. We have to stop looking at life as nothing but division. Division keeps us apart. Who said it? Was it Pink Floyd? I'm not 100% sure. But what was the lyrics? Together we stand, divided we fall. And this is something this was sung about in the 70s, I think. I'm knowledgeable about a lot of things, but you know, there's some things that I like to learn, and I'm just doing this video live as a, hey, I'm just trying it out, see how this goes. So if I make errors, please tell me, because I want to learn, I want to know. I went on this trip to try to learn, to see these things for myself. You see on the news about how bad the homelessness is and the poverty is in California. And it's not rich here in southwestern Pennsylvania. People think of Pittsburgh and they're like, oh man, the Steel City. Like, people got money in Pittsburgh. Well, let me tell you, you come into Fayette County, which is where I live, they got a nickname for Fayette County and they call it Fayette Nom. All right? Because we are not the richest people on the planet. All right? So when you go to a big city like San Francisco and Los Angeles, and you literally see people sleeping on the sidewalks, sleeping in tents. When I was in New Mexico, there were people that gutted out cars. It almost looked, there were spots where it almost looked like a junkyard, like an automobile junkyard. But people were living in these cars. And I come back home and I'm just like, I grew up in the trailer park. We didn't have a lot of money as a kid. So I've always had an appreciation for what I got. Because I don't have a lot. But I got air in my lungs. I got a heart in my chest. And I try to do good for other people when I can. And if it ain't financial, but I see that there's something I can help you with, I'm gonna try to help you. Because that's how I live my life. And they know that there are several of you who do the same thing. And I want us to get together. I want us to form a union. I want us to form a revolution. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, I don't care. Male, female, transgender, non-identified, non-specific gender. We need to come together. We gotta sit at a table. We gotta talk it out. We gotta get past this shit. Because we're not getting anywhere. All they talk about, and I love science, okay? I love science. I'm all about my science. And all we talk about is the saving of humanity is to get us to Mars. Well, guess what? If we keep doing what we're doing here on Earth and we get up there to Mars, we're going to fuck that up too. Even though I guess we would then be considered Martians. Maybe we wouldn't be considered human beings. LOL. But still, we're going to fuck it up. Because, well, this person's skin's going to be different than this person's skin inside their spacesuit. Even though you're all wearing the same spacesuit. They talk about how beauty is only skin deep, which I think is a great analogy. So how far deep do you think the skin goes? Like, somehow we think that skin color goes straight to the bone. I don't understand that. And I know people say it all the time, but I don't have any hate. And I'm not going to hate, and I'm not going to start hating. And I'm not going to be afraid to go somewhere because of the color of my skin. Because I don't live my life being a color. And we have to stop living our lives as a color, as a culture, as a gender, as a race, all of that shit. I get that we have our differences, and I'm not saying, for the life of me, I am not saying that everybody's culture should be the same. No, because we have different cultures, we have different backgrounds, we have different beliefs, we have different values. However, that does not mean that we can't talk. It does not mean that we can't help each other. It does not mean that we have to continue to be divided over things that in the end aren't going to matter. Because when you are out of your physical body at the end of this life, you're either going to be a soul, you're going to be a spirit, you're going to be energy, or you're going to be nothing. I'm sure that there's a fifth option, but those are the only four that come to mind at the moment. And it's not going to matter. Oh, rich and poor. There you go. There's five. It's not going to matter. Because the poor are going to die just the same as the rich are going to die. Black, white, male, female, gay, straight, Democrat, Republican. In the end, it's not going to matter. We're going to be energy. And then whatever happens next. Hopefully, my hope is that whatever happens next, somehow, some way, we have learned and we stop. We stop being different. We accept each other's differences, but don't judge each other's differences. And don't assume because one person does something that the whole lot of them are bad. Because that is really shitty thinking. And it's not going to help us. It's not going to help us. It's just going to continue to perpetuate the hate. And the hate needs to stop. It needs to stop. Life is too short. Think about your life. Think about the people that you have known. Think about the things you've seen on the news. Babies die. And there's people that live till they're 120. There's you don't know. You don't know. It's too short. We need to come together. We need to stop this division. Because every time you turn around, there's more division. And instead of us talking about it with each other, like we should be able to communicate based on our evolution, we have the capacity to conversate with one another. and we choose to not do it. We choose to continue to let these divisions get wider and wider and wider and wider. And to give a description, the next thing you know, you're standing, one person's on one side of the Grand Canyon and the other's on the other. Now, how do you come together? There has to be a way, because if we caused this mess as human beings, we as human beings should be able to fix it. And this is how we have to fix it. We have to talk to each other without judgment, without fear, with an understanding of knowing that we may still disagree, but we can talk about it. It doesn't mean we gotta hate each other. And I promise you that it's possible. And I'm going to continue to advocate for this, because this is what's going to save humanity. Nothing else is going to save humanity. Hate and violence is not going to save humanity. Peace and love, it's what's going to save humanity. I get that shit is always going to happen in this life because it's been happening since the beginning of time. But we don't have to constantly let it happen in our daily life every single day, every second, every hour. And then Christmas Day, everybody gets along for one day. No. It shouldn't take that. It shouldn't take that. It shouldn't take something of disaster to bring us together for a brief shining moment. Look how united we were after 9/11. The United States of America, it was like we were, man, didn't matter, culture, race, gender, nothing. We was American flags, and we're got each other's back, and we are all about it. We're all about each other. Love, 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 love. Tell me how long that lasted. It shouldn't take a disaster of such magnitude to bring us together. It should be the fact that we are human beings. We should care about each other. We should love each other. We should respect each other and appreciate each other. It shouldn't take a disaster to bring us together as human beings. So I end this in the hopes that you will watch it, that you will get something out of it, hopefully something positive. Hopefully you will want to join me. Hopefully we can come up with something to try to fix this mess. Regardless of your feelings of this video, I wish you peace and love. I wish you mercy. I wish you a great life. And I hope that you will join me in this revolution that we need to start as human beings to save ourselves.